You'll never guess what I found while I've been walking through these woods. Secret plans from BMW for their new X8 super luxurious SUV. It's going to be a bit like the X7 but coupe-like, to take on the Lamborghini Urus. Now in this video I'm going to show you some exclusive images of what it could look like. In fact, could it be the ugliest BMW ever? Well, you'll find out in a bit. Also, they're probably going to be making an M version, an X8M, which will be the most powerful BMW ever. Now in this video I'm going to tell you all about this new X8. So stick with it. Now I'm Matt Watson and you're watching Carwow. And don't ask me why I was wandering through these woods. It's just a thing I do.
Buying a new car? Then head to Carwow and my team will help you find your next car at a fair price. Carwow, your one-stop car buying comparison site.
Coupe SUVs are very polarising. You either love them or you hate them, but you can't deny they're getting more and more popular. The idea of making a high-riding coupe is still pretty new-ish. One of the first coupe SUVs was the original BMW X6 from 2008. Okay, so it wasn't the prettiest car ever, but it did help to kickstart the coupe SUV craze. Nowadays, BMW makes the X4 and X6, which are coupe versions of the X3 and X5. And Mercedes has its own GLC and GLE coupe models. Audi has had to go at building coupe versions of the Q3 and Q5, and they're called Sportbacks. And Porsche also makes a Cayenne coupe. But it's not just premium brands that are getting involved. Even Renault is at it with the Arcana, which is a high-riding four-door coupe based on the Capture. So if BMW wants to stand out, it has to build the biggest, most luxurious coupe SUV ever made. And that's exactly what it's about to do with the new X8. Currently, BMW's largest coupe SUV is the X6. This is based on the X5 and it's about the same size as the Mercedes GLE coupe and an Audi Q8. But the new X8 is going to be based on the X7, which is a lot bigger. That car is the size of a Mercedes GLS or a Range Rover. It's absolutely massive. Thing is, no one's ever built a coupe SUV that big before. The closest thing is the Tesla Model X, but that's more like a futuristic MPV rather than a proper coupe SUV. So what the heck is this new X8 going to look like? Well, you can get an idea from these camouflage prototypes that BMW has been testing. These are covered in all sorts of vinyl camouflage to try and disguise their design, but my exclusive rendering shows you what the X8 could look like underneath. Yep, it's going to be another BMW with a massive grille. I know some of you hate them, but they're here to stay. But the massive grille won't be the only thing about the new X8 that'll get people worked up, because BMW is going to give it some totally new headlights as well. BMW has already been testing some weird looking headlights on the next 7 Series and the facelifted X7, so there's every chance they'll end up on the X8. At least they distract you from the huge grille. The X8 will look different from the X7 down the sides too, but these disguised prototypes show BMW isn't planning to give it a curvy roof like the X4 and the X6. Instead, the new X8 will probably get a slanted roof, a bit like what you get on the Audi Q8, and this will be even more noticeable at the back. And that leads me on to the interior. The sloping roof means the X8 probably won't have enough space inside for 7 seats, like the X7 has, but there's a chance the rest of the cabin could be pretty similar. After all, the X6 looks pretty much identical to an X5 inside, although because it's going to be a flagship car, BMW will probably go all out and give the X8 the same massive iDrive 8 infotainment system as the new iX and i4 electric cars. This comes with a 12-inch driver's display and a massive 15-inch touchscreen that stretches halfway across the dashboard. Okay, so it's not as big as the crazy hyperscreen you get in the Mercedes EQS, but maybe it'll be easier to use, especially because it'll have the very latest version of BMW's personal assistant. But besides some new infotainment tech, the new X8 is going to borrow lots of bits from the X7, including its engines. So the range will kick off with a couple of 3-litre 6-cylinder models. There'll be a petrol 40i with around 330 horsepower and a diesel 40D with 340 horsepower, just like you get in the X7. And all versions are going to come with the same 4-wheel drive and 8-speed automatic gearbox. But if you're after a sporty looking coupe SUV, you probably want something with a bit more power, right? Well, there'll also be an M50i model that'll use the same engine as you get in an X7 M50i. That means it's a 4.4 litre twin-turbo V8 with around 530 horsepower, and it should enable the car to do 0 to 60 miles an hour in around 4.7 seconds. But that's not all, because BMW could be cooking up a mega quick X8M model as well. At the moment, the most powerful BMW SUVs you can buy are the X5M and X6M competitions. They both come with the same basic 4.4 litre V8 as you get in the M5 and M8 competition. So they make 625 horsepower and they do 0 to 60 in around 3.8 seconds. However, I've actually timed an X6M from 0 to 60 and it was a lot quicker than that. Now, I'm not going to tell you what time it did exactly. To find that out, you're going to have to click on the pop-out banner that should be appearing right now in the top right hand corner of the screen. So click on that and you can watch my in-depth review about that car. Anyway, back to the X8M. This car will almost certainly use the same 4.4 litre V8 as these cars, but it could have even more power. Sure, BMW could just increase boost pressure from the turbos and call it a day, but I reckon it will use the X8M to experiment with some new hybrid technology. After all, BMW has already revealed a new i4 M50 electric car that makes 544 horsepower from 2 electric motors. That's more power than you get in the new M3 or M4 competitions. So why not chuck a couple of those motors in the X8M? After all, AMG has already shown it's possible. It's getting ready to launch a new GT 4-door hybrid which uses a twin-turbo V8 and an electric motor. That car's 4-litre twin-turbo V8 makes 638 horsepower and the electric motor adds 204 horsepower, so you get more than 800 horsepower to play with. Now, I've actually done a whole video on AMG's next generation hybrids and EVs. Now, I'm not going to tell you what cars are in it, you know, the game now. If you want to find out, go on, click in the top right hand corner of the screen. You see, there's no reason why BMW couldn't develop a similar system that Mercedes-AMG are using. It could start with a 625 horsepower V8 engine and four-wheel drive system from an M8. Then add some of the M50's electric motors, bearing in mind even the least powerful of those motors makes 258 horsepower. That would mean you get a hybrid SUV with more than 850 horsepower. Now just imagine that. The most powerful BMW M car on sale wouldn't be an M8 sports car or even an M5 Super Saloon. It'd be a hybrid SUV. That's all like pie in the sky stuff right now, you know. There's no guarantee BMW will make a normal X8M, let alone some bonkers hybrid version with more than 850 horsepower. And even if it does, you can bet it'll all cost a fortune. After all, BMW coupe SUVs always end up costing more than their standard versions. An entry-level X7 without any bells and whistles costs almost £78,000. So you'll probably need more than £80,000 to get hold of a basic X8 when it goes on sale. And a V8 petrol version will cost around £90,000 to £100,000. And if the X8M goes into production with a normal twin-turbo V8, it'll cost more than £120,000. Now, if BMW does decide to build a balls-out X8M hybrid with 850 horsepower, yeah, it's going to be about 150 grand. But would that much power be enough to make you forget about the looks, or do you reckon BMW has gone too far this time? Let me know in the comments below. Also, if you're a German person watching this and you'd like to actually watch some Carwow videos presented by a proper German in your mother tongue, then click on the pop-out banner in the top right hand corner of the screen to go to our new German Carwow channel and subscribe there as well.